Sixth grade, happy Wednesday. We're going to finish up lesson 3 today. Talk about the second empire that we need to talk about. Yesterday we did the Mauryan Empire with Sandra Gupta Maurya, who started, and his grandson Asoka, who switched to Buddhism and was this great leader. And then, of course, it fell apart afterwards. Let's get the second empire. The second empire is the Gupta Empire. Remember, our overall question today is what makes this culture unique. We're just talking about the two empires, and we'll talk about some of the cultural things at the end of the lesson today. You got your notes hopefully ready to rock and roll. If you look at the map here, guys, you can see the size. The Gupta Empire, not nearly the size of that Mauryan Empire. So if I'm taking a history test and there's a true false that says, the Gupta was bigger than the Mauryan, nope, false. The Mauryan's bigger than the Gupta. Yes, true. Okay, so much smaller, guys. For 500 years, the small warring kingdoms fought one another for control of India. Then in 320 AD, so guys, we switched from BC to AD, so that's the 500 years they're talking about. The Gupta dynasty came to power in the Ganges River Valley. You got number 1 in your notes as we talk about this next river. The city of Pataliputra had been the capital of the old Mauryan Empire. It now became the capital of the Gupta Empire. Chandragupta I, who was the first Gupta ruler, had the same name as the first ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. Okay, so guys, they put a little 1 on here. Remember, it's not the same person. They lived 500 years apart. He took his name to say, guys, remember when we had this great thing in history, which was really cool, and we were this powerful empire, and then we fell apart when we fought each other. Now we're these small warring kingdoms. No good. Let's become unified again. And so he takes that name. So it'd be like if America fell into problems and we got conquered by a foreign country, and I say, you know what, I'm going to unify us and I'm going to get our freedom back in this country, and I'm going to switch my name to George Washington. Why? Because George Washington led us the first time when we revolted against Britain and became an independent country, and so I simply take on that name to say, remember the good old days, guys. So don't think that he was born this name and it just lucked out that way, okay? He took that name on purpose. Chandragupta I ruled for 10 years. Then he chose his son, Samudra Gupta, to rule after him. That's why it's called a dynasty, guys. Father to son, father to son. Sam here expanded the Gupta Empire in northern India. He was a great military leader and a patron of the arts and literature. Okay, what it means to be a patron of the arts and literature, which is number 2 in your notes, guys, is that you pay people to make art and to write books for you. You are a paid patron to do those things. You encourage it. Under Sam, India entered its golden age. So keep that in mind. We usually talk about peace and prosperity. This is where we have the finer things of life. Gupta rulers practiced the Hindu religion like many of their subjects did. So remember, in the Mauryan Empire with Asoka, he was Buddhist, guys. He allowed Hinduism. These guys practiced Hinduism. They donated money to support Hindu scholars and to build Hindu temples. Many temples had brightly painted sculptures of deities. So you got number 3 in your notes, guys. Deities is their gods. And images from the Hindu sacred writings. So trade helped the Gupta Empire thrive. Salt, cloth, and iron were common goods traded in India. Indian merchants also traded with China and with lands in Southeast Asia and the Mediterranean area. So you have a number 4 in your notes, guys. They have a major trade network as we got awesome products over here combining with awesome products that on the map would be over here. And in between that, you go through that and you get some products. The Gupta rulers benefited from their control of much of the trade. They owned silver and gold mines and large estates. So the rich got rich, right? Cities also rose along the trade route. People called pilgrims used the trade route to journey to holy sites. Cities with famous temples grew wealthy from visiting pilgrims. So you have number 5 in your notes, guys. We'll talk a lot about this when we get into the next world religion, which is Islam, and the pilgrimages they make. You'll see that a lot. There's even that in Christianity. There'll be churches that say we have what we call relics. So I have a piece of wood that was from the cross of Jesus in my temple, and they're like, I want to go see the cross of Jesus. So they travel to my church, and I charge them to get into it, make my church like a museum to to view some of those things. So that's what they have going on here, and people are making money off that as they continue to do those things. All right. A little bit about the Gupta Empire. Now let's spend more time talking about what our aim question is, the culture. Ancient India produced a brilliant culture. Artists, builders, writers, and scientists made many contributions while the Mauryan and Gupta kings ruled. So you have writers going in there, guys, into your notes there, and we're going to talk about these contributions and what they did. The Vedas were among the first works written in the Sanskrit language. The literature of ancient India also includes epics. Remember, epics are long poems or stories. Hindu epics are sacred texts that teach important moral lessons. The people could learn the correct and acceptable behavior through interesting stories. Guys, that hasn't changed. Why did Jesus tell parables? Because they're interesting. I get a good story that teaches me a moral lesson. As you're cruising through number 7 in your notes, you got the Vedas were among the first works written in the Sanskrit. That's when we finally had that written language written down. Okay, and then you also have number 8 in your notes. Not yet. Sorry, I got to change the page here. Okay. The Blah, I'm just going to call him the Mamba, is an ancient religious epic. It's also the longest poem in any written language with about 90,000 verses. So, guys, you got that big, huge, long word for number 9 in your notes there. Number 8 in your notes there. The longest poem ever written. Describes a struggle for control in the Indian kingdom that took place about 1100 BC. Its exciting stories about great heroes influenced Hindus then and now. So we obviously love that. The best known section of this huge book is called the Bhagavad Gita, or the Song of the Lord. So that's number 9 in your notes, just the title of it in English for us, the Song of the Lord. In it, the deity Krishna goes with a prince in a battle. The prince does not want to fight because members of his family are on the other side. Krishna reminds the prince to obey his duty as a warrior. The prince makes the faithful choice to fight his family. So they're trying to teach you guys, number 1, you have to get number 10 in your notes. The prince makes that choice. But they're trying to teach you the importance. So Hindus, obviously, you do your duty. Remember, you're in your caste system. You have your dharma where you have to follow your certain rules. And he says, you're a warrior. You have to fight. But my family's on the other side. I will kill my family. Hey, your religion is more important than that. And so you have this story, guys, teaching them the importance of following what they're supposed to do, even if it means fighting against their own family. A second epic called the Ramayana is a poem that grew out as about 25,000 verses before it was written down. It tells the story of Rama, who is the perfect king, and Sita, his faithful wife. When Sita is kidnapped by an evil king, Rama rushes to her rescue with the help of his friends. Okay, so you got number 11 in your notes, just the name of the king, Rama, and you're teaching, obviously, love, duty, friendship, all those things. The ancient Hindus believed that music was a gift from the gods. Number 12 in your notes. Many sacred texts, such as the Bhagavad Gita, were probably sung, like our Psalms and our Bibles, guys. At yearly festivals, people danced, sang, and played music. Musical instruments included tambourines, flutes, drums, and flutes. Much of early India's arts were created on fragile materials such as paper and have not survived. What is left today is mostly religious art, which are elaborate sculptures. You're cruising for number 13 in your notes here. Carved in stone. Sculptures carved images of the Buddha as early as 100 ADs. The most important structures in early India were the rulers' palaces and the temples used for religious worship. You're cruising to number 14 in your notes with the words religious worship. Obviously, those structures, religion and power, go along with that. During Asoka's reign, many stone pillars carved with Buddhist message were placed along the roadsides. We talked about that yesterday. Indian mathematicians of the Gupta period made important contributions. Aryabhata, was one of the first scientists known to have used algebra. So, guys, you can write down the word scientists, and some of you who are not loving algebra as we get into it more and more this year, you now know who to thank for that. Indian mathematicians explain the idea of infinity, something that's without an end, like the number system, it never ends. They also invented the symbol zero and connected it with the idea of nothing. The Indian invention of zero affected the study of mathematics and science. Modern technology, such as computers, would not be possible without the concept of zero. If you know something today, everything in computers is a 1 or a 0. It's either on or off. It's what we call binary technology. So bless their heart. Gupta mathematicians developed symbols for the numbers 1 through 9 that we use today. In the AD 700s, Arab traders adopted these number symbols or numerals. European traders later borrowed them from the Arabs. And then in the 1200s, use of these numbers spread from Europe and replaced Roman numerals. Today, this number system is known as the Indian Arabic number system. Okay, so you have number 16 in your notes, guys. It's what we'd use today. It came out of India. It went to the Arab traders. That eventually went to Europe, which replaced the old Roman numeral system. So we run on this base 10 number system of zeros of 0 to 9. Obviously, just such a blessing. Scientists and scholars in ancient India also made important advances in astronomy and technology. Indian astronomers mapped the movements of the planets and the stars. So you have number 17 in your notes, the astronomers who are going to be studying the stars and making the things with that. They proposed the theory that the Earth was round and it revolved around the sun. Awesome. True, not accepted, but brilliant. During the Gupta period, scientists advanced metalworking. Among their most impressive constructions is the Pillar of Iron in Delhi, dating to about 400 AD. It is still standing, and in spite of its age, it's hardly rusted. So you got something that's 1,600 years old, guys, and it's awesome. Okay, so advances in science, advance in mathematics. Can you imagine doctors performing dental surgery 1,600 years ago? Indian doctors treated dental problems using tools such as the bow drill. The doctors used this tool, which was usually used to make fire, to drill teeth. Love it. Okay? So Indian doctors treated dental problems using tools such as the bow drill. What a bow drill is, guys, it's like a bow and arrow. So think of the bow, and then they wrap the string around a piece of wood in the middle, and when you push it down, the rope causes it to spin. So it's literally trying to make a drill that spins fast. So what we're doing is we're drilling out cavities. We haven't changed that in 1,600 years. Doctors during the Gupta era were advanced for their time. They could set broken bones, sew wounds, and perform complicated surgeries. They also were skilled in making medical instruments such as scalpels, that's the knives that cut them open, and needles for stitching it back closed. So nice job, doctors. A doctor named Shamashta repaired damaged noses in what we would consider an early type of plastic surgery. Indian doctors use herbs to cure illnesses. They also believed in healing the cause of the disease, not just treating the symptoms itself. So you guys, you got the doctor's name there for your last notes. But what I love, guys, is this one. Let's not just take care of the symptoms. Let's take care of the disease itself. Awesome. Okay, so you're at the top of your notes for your extra credit. You write down, I love algebra. And now you know who gave us algebra. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of lesson 2, which means you'll have a worksheet ready to go with it and a test tomorrow. Blessings on your day.